to tonight. So we'll go for probably about 20 minutes on this particular deep dive because I'm at a gala. I'm at the Ingalls Pictures Gala. Ingalls Pictures is my son's business in Grand Rapids, Michigan. We produce videos of all kinds. If you go to ingalls.pictures.com, you can see what we do. I am the board chair, the advisory board chair for our son's company, and I'm also now their CFO. So there are a few hats, and but it is their company, their partnership. It is 7 years old, and tonight we are having a small gala of some of the artists that we've been working with. And it's been really fun. The music's about to kick on, and anybody that knows me know that I am the dancing queen. So I will be hitting the dance floor as soon as we get off here. But tonight, what I wanted to share with you is something that to me is just a really, really important subject. I usually don't wear cleavage, so I'm like, just stay with me here. Stay here, eyes here. It's to me, it's really, really important. We're going to talk about the immune system, and we're going to talk about inflammation, because so many people suffer from chronic disease, and chronic disease has a basis in chronic inflammation. Inflammation is usually one of the deep causes of chronic disease for people, many different diseases, in fact. So let's kind of debunk the immune system and inflammation for a moment. And then, of course, I'm going to give you some great tips to help you out. So there are stressors that will cause inflammation in the human body. When the human body experiences certain bacteria, viruses, a transplant can do this as well. It sets in motion for the body. The body feels it's under threat or attack. And so the body prepares to fight that. And it fights it with these things called cytokines. I don't want to get too far into jargon, but basically it's a little army. And these things form to basically attack what it is that the body feels is a threat to it. So most of the time we're thinking about things like bacteria, viruses, a transplant, like physical things. Interestingly enough, the stress response, so psychological stress, does exactly the same thing. The body goes into a very, it actually creates instant inflammation in the body. So when you trigger the fight or flight stress response, you create a lot of acid in your body. Bacteria, cancers thrive in an acidic environment. And so that's so important to note, but gosh, I've got to go a little slower here so that I can really get out everything I want to share with you tonight. I left my notes downstairs and I'm not going back down there. So couple of things. Let's go first to the immune system, and let's talk about the floods of hormones in the stress response. So when you first trigger the stress response for any sort of stressor, any feeling, any emotion, any tension, it can be chronic, like you're constantly worried about something and you're constantly releasing stress hormones. When that happens, the first flood of hormones goes out, and there's a little protein called interferon gamma. It got a lot of press when in 2020 when COVID first happened, because interferon gamma is a protein that is really one of your first lines of defenses in your immune system. It drops up to 90% when you release stress hormones. So your immune system is in a really wonky place when you go into the stress response. And then things kind of level up a little bit, but then when the second flood of hormones goes out, the glucocorticoids, there's another drop up to 40% of your immune system. So in those moments, let's put it that way, in those little moments in the cycle, you are susceptible. So you could be healthy as anything, but let's say you were traveling somewhere and you got a little anxious and you touched your face. That's all it would take, is at that moment, your immune system had dropped. It's kind of like the stock market. It's always changing. In fact, if you go and get your hormones tested, it's like the stock market. That is what your hormones are like in that little slice of time. That could be very different just a few minutes later. So your hormones are constantly changing in your body, in your bloodstream. And so anytime you're going to go test them, it's just like a snapshot. So with all this change comes a lot of chaos. When you are under chronic stress and you're releasing a lot of your stress hormones like over and over and over again, you might not even be doing it, realize you're doing it. Like I wasn't aware how much I was triggering the stress response, just trying to get my kids to school in the morning and me to work. like over and over again, I was triggering. You start to create a situation in your body where the stress response and these cytokines, which should kind of settle down and kind of go away once you've had that situation happen with your with the immune system. You know, you need to have those cytokines when you're under threat, and then they go away. So let me see, I'm just gonna make sure I am. Yeah, thank you there, Sheila. I got people dropping in, and that'd be great if you could mute and turn off your camera. That's super, thank you. I'll pop up my participants so I can make sure to do that too. So when that happens, when you're under chronic stress or you're constantly triggering the stress response, these hormones and these chemicals start to habituate in your body. And that's what's causing the chronic disease, is the habituation of the stress hormone releases and the cytokine buildups. So it gets to the point where there can be almost a cannibalization of some of your organs. I have had some people that I know in my life who have had situations like that, where their organs were shutting down because their immune systems were so off, and this whole cytokine army was out of control. So it's serious. And since pretty much every chronic disease is the result of chronic inflammation. Chronic inflammation is the result of the constant release of stress hormones. Does that make sense? So if we can untangle that and back it all out, are you taking me seriously, my crane? But I'm just going to keep my crown on because I love it. I'll tell you about my crown in a minute. So if we can back up and get to what is causing you to trigger the first flood of hormones, that is our key. You have 10 seconds from any time you feel tension, anytime a thought comes in your head that is a possible thought that could cause you to trigger the stress response. That is where we do our work in Pressure Free. It's truly miraculous. I've had miracle things happen with my clients by teaching them to work in that 10-second window. It's that 10-second window that is so precious for you to choose you, to not overreact in the situation and release those hormones. Choosing you can be really hard because we have habits of reaction that are generations old. We're so used to flying off the handle at certain things. We're so used to worrying, incessantly worrying about certain things, about children, about our parents, about our own health, about our spouses. We can feel ashamed of things we've done. Ashamed of things we've done in the past. We can feel as though we'll never get out of situations too. That is a big one for me. I remember once I triggered the stress response really, really badly. And here's what my brain was saying. These are the exact words. You're never going to get out of this. You've really done it this time. Notice I'm using this second person singular, like you, not I, first person singular, second person. You're such a horrible person. How could you think to do that? How could you act that way? Like just berating myself in my head. Do you berate yourself in your head? Do you yell at yourself in your head? I say this so often and I love it. I got it from a Ken Roberts, no, not Ken Roberts, Vernon Howard book called Psychopictography, written a long time ago, that our thoughts are not our friends. I've amended it to say some of our thoughts are not our friends because you get to turn those thoughts around. So how are we going to turn around the inflammation in your body? We all have some inflammation in our body for sure. And if you have a cut, you've got inflammation. Your response is going to go there to fix it. We're so beautifully designed. However, how are we going to stop the chronic from happening? Step by step, moment by moment, and really going deep in your heart to decide that you really deserve a beautiful life, no matter what cards you've been dealt, no matter what situations are going on. And you know, we all have crappy, messy lives. We have great things that happen. We have crappy things that happen. I have had many, many, many crappy things that have happened to my life. We all have. It's like, what do you do with it? And how do you start to choose you at the deepest level and not release these stress hormones? So I love to tell my clients to be really gentle with themselves. Be generous with yourself. Give yourself space to see, to be aware of what are the things that are starting to trigger you. What are the things that are causing you to release these hormones? It could be something as simple as your alarm on your phone, or somebody calling you that you don't want to talk to, or a text and you're not sure what they really mean. Text stress is a real thing. Sometimes we'll focus more on the disease, on that. And certainly there are a lot of stressors that happen there. You're going to get some test results. You get the diagnosis. That's incredibly anxiety ridden, all of that. But I want you to start with some of the simpler things first. So take a look at the first part of your morning. Is there something in your morning that's causing you to trigger fight or flight? If you can really start to look at that morning and notice some things. Do you trigger about the weather? Some people do. If it's like raining or snowing, they'll instantly go into a downward spiral unless you're a skier. And then you're like, yay, it's snowing. If you were in England and it was drizzling, you'd be like, yay, it's just drizzling. It's all perspective. So can you gain some perspective for yourself to protect yourself? So start early in the morning and really just start to see if you can identify some things that might be triggering you. Seems like early in the morning is one of the first times. And then when you go to work, like there's usually some first things work, like you open your email and it's just chock full of emails that you have to deal with, or it could be later in the evening that there's stuff going on. So give yourself this gentle time to start to analyze what's causing you to trigger fight or flight. Another tool I want to give you tonight is a little framework that I use with my clients. Because if you have a chronic disease, and I had a chronic disease before I created Pressure Free, and I would, if anybody would have told me I would have cured it, I would have said it's impossible. It's impossible to cure what I have. I hear that a lot from people who have fibromyalgia, who have autoimmune diseases. It's impossible. Like you just feel it. I felt it was impossible for what was going on with me to ever be cured. So if we back up a little bit, I want you to see if you can start being open to this framework. The framework is this. In the past, I thought it was impossible for me to get healthy from whatever it is that you have. I'm now open to the possibility, and I use this open hand very intentionally, a body motion. I'm open to the possibility that in the future, this could be different for me. There's a baby sleeping over there. Oh, I just heard the sound. There's a baby sleeping. There's a baby monitor over there. We have 2 babies here at the party tonight. One of them went home, but one's still here. We'll talk a little quieter. So open to the possibility. How amazing that the baby made a little sound right when I said that. I'm going to say a prayer for that baby. Like, it's so beautiful. So open to the possibility that in the future, your symptoms could be less. You might even possibly be well. Like, see if you can open up possibility. We become so closed, especially if we've had a disease for a really long time. Mine was decades. You can feel like it's just so impossible. Open to possibility. The moment you use that word open, your blood vessels actually open up. Like the study of epigenetics and the power of your thought on every bit of your DNA is so fascinating. I dig deeply into this research because I find it so fascinating. A very thought that you have affects the very telomeres of your chromosomes. The very thought that you have affects every cell of your body. We're electrical beings, and those thoughts are electric, and they have qualities to them. So you can start to open up your thoughts a little bit, open to the possibility that you become healthier. And the moment you do that, you set in motion something so profound. So whatever's in your faith foundation, I always talk to my clients about their faith foundation. Like, what is in your faith foundation? What do you believe? What you believe matters. What you believe about yourself, what you believe about others. If you worry about other people, you're sending worried energy to that other person. It's very almost impossible for a person who's being worried about to get well. We need to turn this around in the 21st century. To me, this is the most powerful 21st century tool you could have, is pressure-free living. Because if you can heal yourself at the atomic level, at the cellular level, it's phenomenal what can start to happen for you. So see if you can say, okay, in the past, I had this condition. I'm now open to the possibility that I can start to turn this around. Even if you can just start to turn it around, you've opened up a possibility. Does that make sense? You know, does it feel like something you could begin to do? And you can practice doing it with anything that you say, I don't do well. For example, I will have students say, oh, I'm terrible at math. And I'll say, okay, well, let's do this. In the past, I was terrible at math. I'm now open to the possibility that I might become a little better mathematician. I was doing this with a 12-year-old client recently, and it's just so cool to see what happens. You know, like, so how are your quizzes going? Oh, I'm doing so much better, because she opened up to the possibility that she could do it. So much of our conditioning from the time we're really little is that we can't. I was just sharing this with the parents well, they're not parents quite yet. I think the baby is due in 3 months, 4 months. So a couple that's going to have a baby, and then another set of parents downstairs. And what I shared with them is that when your baby starts to reach for something, if you keep pulling its hand back and telling it no, tell it no, no, baby, no, can't touch that, can't have that, right? You pull it away. When they become an adult and they start to begin to believe about something or reach for something or have a goal or a dream, what they're getting is this pull back, pull back, pull back. Does that make sense? And so most of us, it doesn't matter, by the way, if it's a gentle pull away or a scream and a yell and you got yanked away from something as a child. We all got the same message. When we reach for something, we can't have it. That's why so many people hit young adulthood and a lot of mental illness happens, because they're trying, the voice in their head says they can't. So there's push, pull, push, like they're moving forward, but then they're pulled back. And all those phrases like, I don't think I'm enough. I don't think I can do it. We all hit a point like that. I hit a point like that my sophomore year in college. And I thought it was, I'm at this school with amazing violinists. University of Michigan had amazing violinists. And I started to think that I was just so awful. And I could never be good enough. I was already playing in a professional symphony, but I was a sophomore and I just felt like I was just horrific. And I couldn't come out of my room for 3 days. I really couldn't come out of my room. It was my violin professor who called me and worried about me. And he was the tyrannical violin professor on campus. And he called me because he knew I would never miss my lesson unless it was very, very important. And I just spilled my guts and told him that I felt so inadequate. And for those of you who might be watching who were at Michigan with me, it was Paul Makhnovitsky. And he got me out of my room. And he said, you come on up here and we're going to have some beautiful lessons together. And you're a very talented girl and I'm going to help you. And so when you have someone who believes in you, things can turn around. There's too much conditional love today. And one of the things I talk to my clients about is that I provide unconditional love and support, like true unconditional love and support. And you've asked my children about that, unconditional love and support. No matter what happens, no matter what goes down, we will find a solution. We will find a way. And so you don't find that very much in the world. And I think we need to turn that around. Love and forgiveness, unconditional love and support. Love yourself. When you can deeply start to open up that deserving heart inside of you, your body will respond. It will become healthier. When you start to take some action on your true mission on this planet, whether it's helping people or a certain profession or an art or a vocation, whatever it is you do, when you move into that, your body will want to be healthy to make it happen. That's another little trick that I share with my clients when you get on purpose. So get on purpose. I help people find their purpose, because if you're locked in the stress response, it's so hard to find your purpose. It's almost impossible to future cast and future vision. So that's important too. Why I'm wearing the tiara. So I actually did a couple beauty pageants when I was in high school. I didn't know I was, because the first one, the faculty at my high school chose me to represent my school. So I represented Concord, New Hampshire in the Kiwanis Trade Fair Queen, right? And I won, which I won like $2,000 or something. It was pretty exciting for college. And that's where I got this. And so I've had it all these years, and every once in a while I have come on my Facebook Lives and just put on my little tiara. My mother kept it for a long time. She used to wear it, I think. And then she gave it back to me one day. And so, yeah, there's another pageant too. And some people narc on pageants, but I've coached a pageant girl before. Actually, I was her violin teacher for a pageant girl once. You know, pageants are intense. It's a sport. It's really a sport. You got to be in super shape. And I had to practice walking heels because I'm a Nike girl. I like to be barefoot. So it was a sport for me. I had to work really hard. So I pulled out my crown tonight because I am at this gala and having a lot of fun with my sons and my husband and some very talented people downstairs. So I'm going to go back to that. But first, I'm going to close out my Facebook Live. And as you know, if you need more help with this, please reach out to me. During this time of year, this is really a time of year, it's really the best time of year to learn the pressure-free method. Because if you learn this method, your holidays are going to be more joyful, more peaceful. You're going to have a more open heart, and you're also going to be more present in the moment to remember things that happen during the next few weeks. So just go to speakwithelle.com if you want to have a conversation with me. And I'm going to close out this live, and I have my Zoom people here. So have a great night. Bye.